Yeah, hi all. Good morning, good evening. I hope everyone is doing good. So in today's session, I will explain about the Informatica optimization. Okay, of how to optimize the mapping. That part I will explain. And last session, uh, I was explain about target optimization, source optimization, how to optimize those things. So same way, how to optimize the Informatica mapping, right? So these things will explain in detail, in Informatica mapping, there is multiple things, right? Informatica mapping, there is multiple part, right? Source, target, and the same way there is mapping. Mapping content have different types of things, right? How to load the from source, how to load the target, right? Multiple transformations. These things I will discuss today session. So be with me. I will explain so that we'll be ready to optimize your mapping. Suppose your mapping is doing something like performance issue. Yeah, some friends are facing performance issue, right? So they can just start looking and just read my video, and it will be helpful for you so that you can optimize your mapping. Okay. So yeah, in today's session, I'm going to explain about this topic, right? What topic? This topic includes the following topic, like optimizing mapping over how to optimize that mapping. So this thing I will explain. Then second point, I will optimizing the flat file. Suppose your source is flat file, right? Flat file means we contain the data in TXT, CSV, or any other format, right? Except to relational database. So that format is our flat file, right? Called how configuring single pass reading. Suppose like this is the partitioning part, right? Single pass reading, optimizing pass through mapping, right? Optimizing filter transfer filters. Suppose you have written multiple filter, right? How to optimize that filter condition. Optimizing data type conversion. Suppose you convert date to character, right? Some conversion you have already usage, right? Some regular expression or something. So that part also we can read and just identify if any we are required to optimize that those things, so we can optimize that particular area as well. So that's what here I mentioned, the conversion, data type conversion also. Suppose you are converting date to character, like integer to string, some decimal, right? That's part also will come take care. Our next point is optimizing the expression. Expression, like suppose you have write some logic, right? Why we are using expression inside the mapping? Yeah, that mapping, inside the mapping we are using the expression for some build the logic. Logic, like suppose you compare, suppose you are using for taking care for the duplicate record, removing the duplicate record, just comparing previous and current record, kind of like you are using converting to just take example like department number you are taking, but you are converting that department number to name, that you have built some logic, right? You are taking, you have written some lookup, and then based on that you are returning to name. So yeah, that's kind of information, right? Calculation logic you were just are build, right? Your mapping, that your mapping was contains. Okay. So now onward, we'll just cross check that part as well, so that you can optimizing your expressions as well. So next point will optimizing the external procedure, right? Suppose, let's suppose you have called your procedure, you write written already some procedures, and that procedure you have called inside your mapping, and maybe that procedure took huge time to process any record, correct? So that part you need to also cross check, cross verify, and just cross check like cost of the query and everything, just like whatever the required, first you need to just cross check at Oracle level, like Oracle optimization. After that, you can just if that if you called that particular procedure, right? So what is the behavior inside your Informatica? That one also need to cross check. Okay. So these point all together, these point will discuss in detail, and also I will show some technical part. So yeah, today video some maybe some lengthy, but yeah, information will be in accurate, so that it will be conclude in this session, so that mapping document can be optimization can conclude in the, yeah, I'll try to some fast as well. So yeah, some theoretical part like how to optimizing overview, right? So if you notice here, there is mapping level, right? Let me just highlight it, go is highlight as well so that you can just be with me. Like mapping level optimization may take time. Just read, right? The theoretical part also required. Of course, suppose someone asks some questions, right? So how to answer? You answer in theoretical part, not a go and tinker. So both is required, both are equally important. So just try to read everything, and then you can support interviewer ask, right, what is the optimization method, how to optimize. Then that time you need to explain something, then someone understand, yeah, you know, right? Because the current market is a AI market, right? Everything is available, all information. So just try to understand some deep level, right? Then you can beat someone, otherwise can't. Yeah, here is what I'm trying to explain. The mapping level optimization may take time to implement, but it can significantly boost session performance, right? So focus on mapping level optimization after you optimize the target source. Post, suppose I in last session I was explaining source and target optimization. Now I'm explaining the mapping level optimization. So generally you reduce the number of transformation report. Mapping optimization just contain the multiple transformation, right? Here just try to explain. Generally you reduce the number of transformation in the mapping and delete unnecessary link between transformation to optimize the mapping, right? Configure the mapping with least number of transformation and expression to do the most amount of work possible. So where what here trying to say, just suppose you are using multiple source, a kind of unnecessary link you have link, but that information you are not use, right? So don't do like that, right? So you can remove that part. Also, suppose you have unnecessary expression, you have written multiple expression, but you are just drag and drop kind of. There is no any calculation there. There you can unnecessary expression you can remove and use single, right? If your handle by using single expression, then you can use that one. Don't include multiple expression. So yeah. So here just that part here is just trying to tell us delete unnecessary link between transformation to minimize the amount of data move. So this is all about the overview of the optimizing mapping, correct? So next each point is actually optimizing the flat file source. Suppose our source is our flat files, right? And that data we are reading data from text like yeah, comma separated or any pipe separated, yeah, pipe delimited. That kind of data we are receiving our in source directory. And here, suppose if we are receiving the data, how to optimize? So here just mention optimize the line sequential buffer length. Here it tells us the what is the line, and secondly optimize the delimited flat file source, right? Optimize XML and flat file source. Here it just tell us optimize the line sequential buffer. I will show you what is the configuration there in flat file. So yeah, let me yeah, I will explain technical part one by one, because in print machine I need to open. Yeah, so I will explain that part like where this information available so that you can configure, correct? And if you configure that part, you know what is the options. Okay. So second part, yeah, let me explain that part, technical part as well. I'm just sharing, showing you that part. Okay. And yeah, here is mapping. I'm opening my. Yeah, here is mapping. I'm just opening any, just taking examples so that I can show you what is the issue, right? There is, if anywhere we are using source target like flat file, right? There is flat file. I'm just checking which mapping I'm using, flat file. Uh, okay, so we can use that part as well. Let me show. checking the because all information available at session level. So we need to just cross check at session level that mapping, and which mapping is using flat file. So I will show you connected rank test filters cd. Not, I will create a new one. Okay, so don't worry. Yeah, target is, yeah, here is target is flat file, but yeah, no worry. Here is some information. So here is source is not, yeah. Here is some properties, right? Here is fixed page. Suppose you are co in advance. Similar kind of delimited like property. So that's what here is tell us. Yeah, I think there is no mapping I need to recreate, but yeah, I will show you that part. Okay. So yeah, no worry. Here I'm just creating one mapping for sequential, right? Just test flat file. Okay. Recreate like your source will be this. Okay. Okay. So source is there. I just took one expression, like expression you can uh, took. Okay. Just select all record, select all. Same, I'm just using target as well, like flat file. Okay. So any file name I will took, this is the file name or target flat file kind of, yeah. So that I can show the purpose is you just know, right, what things I need to configure. Okay. So this all about here, and mapping is valid. I just create a session as well. So simple, you can create here. Go in task, just create a session. Okay, so this one you can clear as create a task session task light test flat file. When I created this one, I can map your mapping, which one I created just now, test flat file. Okay, but naming convention you can keep as it, but I just hurry, so that's what I, yeah. Here is some properties which I was explaining session log file name, right? This log will be generated in Informatica server. Suppose you want to read, write something, yeah, what is the information contained during the process, you can validate post execution. Okay. Here is commit, insert, update. There is a DTM buffer. There is okay. Auto is collection for collect performance data. Suppose you want to collect the information, you can right enable that part. Realization enable high precision session, allow temporary view, push down, right? If you want to allow the push down optimization, you can write the allow push down optimization, right? Create temporary database view, leveraging computing. This kind of for the optimizing, right? Suppose you want to use the optimization by using the some partitions concept. So right here is like default block size, sequential size. That's what I told you. That part you need to increase. like sequential buffer length, right? Buffer block size, this kind of currently auto. So you need to increase accordingly. Suppose your process is not up to date. So those things you need to check and update accordingly. Here, if you notice, there is flood file. Here is some properties. You need to set the some properties like this. If your comma separated kind of thing, so you need to configure accordingly. Okay. So these are all about your flat file source. Okay. And I'm just showing on second part. I'm coming on our slides. Okay. So yeah, I'm sharing my slides. Yeah. Hmm. So here I'm sorry, flat file source, right? So this one is flat file. So let me just hide this part here. Hmm. I hope it's visible. Yeah. So I was explaining sequential line buffer length, delimited file source, and examples. So these things you can optimize accordingly or according to your process. Okay. So yeah, I'm moving on next slide. Next slide is actually optimizing the line sequential buffer length. Already I will explain like in mapping area where you need to uh, optimize those things. So optimize the line system if the session read from a flat file source, right? Suppose our data session means whatever I was developed, right? So you can improve the session performance by setting the number of bytes integration services read per line. By default the integration service read, suppose by default that 1024 bytes per line. If each line in the source file is less than the default setting, right, you can decrease the line sequential buffer length in session property, correct? So this setting you need to configure according to your requirement. Okay. Optimizing delimited flat file, right? If a source write delimited flat file, right, you must specify the delimited character to separate column of data in the source file. You must also specify the escape character. Right? I was explaining property. The integration service read the delimited character as a regular express character. If you include the escape character before the delimiter character, you can improve session performance. If the source file doesn't contain quote or escape character, right? So that things you need to also cross verify, right? So you need to compare at session level in advanced property, right? Their side, there are all properties there. You can update according to your requirements. So, by you configuring those things, you can also optimize your mapping. But right, yeah. Moving on next. Optimizing XML and the flat files also, right? Suppose our source is XML, right? We are taking data from hierarchical XML, right? And a flat file. In that case, XML file are usually larger than flat file because there is hierarchical information there, right? Because of the tag information, the size of the XML file depends on the level of tagging in XML, right? Level of tagging means there is hierarchy process tag, right? More tags result in a larger file size. As a result, the integration service may take longer to read the cache XML because all info read and just stored in cache. Then after the cache, we transfer the data to the our target database. Target can be anything like a flat file or different. Okay. So here, how going configuring single pass reading, there is some partitioning part. So single pass reading allow you to populate multiple target with one source qualifier, right? Multiple target means you can write one target and write the query. Consider using single pass reading. If you have multiple session that use the session source, okay, same source, you can combine the transformation logic for each mapping in one mapping. Am I correct? What I here is trying to say, single pass reading allow you to populate multiple target, right, with one source qualifier. correct? Here you write the all query, just combining to multiple things and just pass to multiple target. Considering using single pass reading, if you have multiple session, right? You have write multiple session to upload. The use of the same source, you can combine the those transformation logic for each mapping in one mapping and use one source qualifier for each source, right? The integration service reads each source one and then send the data into separate pipeline. In particular row can be used by all the pipeline by any combination of pipelines or no pipeline. Example like if you are purchasing source table, right? And you use the source daily to perform aggregation and ranking. If you place the aggregator and the rank transformation in separate mapping and the session, you force the integration service to read the same source table for twice. However, if you include the integration and ranking logic in one mapping with one source qualifier, the integration service read the purchasing source table once and then send the appropriate data to the separate pipeline. I hope you understand. Like here example, suppose same operation you are performing based on the single table. Let's say employee table and somewhere I'm transferring the salary information for bonuses purpose. Somewhere I'm transferring for increment perspective, right? So if you want this kind of process, right, you can use the single source in at one run where reader time will be decrease. That's what here is trying to say, right? And if you are performing in two mapping, it will take a huge time because your process is twice hyphening. That's what you can combine those things. Poor, yeah, don't blindly combine. Yeah, just see, validate, right? If you're using same source, then you can go that single pass rating. Okay. Here, when changing different logic, when changing mapping to take advantage of single pass reading, what is the advantage of this? Advantage like you can optimize this feature by factoring out common function from mapping. For example, if you need to subtract percentage from price port, the for retail, right? Price port for the aggregation mapping transformation, right? You can minimize work by subtracting the percentage before splitting the pipeline. You can use expression transformation to subtract the percentage, then split to the mapping after the transformation. Here is some example. There is one single source qualifier, right? Then a single pass reading where the mapping is split after the expression. Suppose here is expression, right? After that mapping is split, there is aggregator, there is ranking. Okay. So that's what here is trying to say, because previously there is true mapping. Source is same, expression is also there, and they are aggregating that information and transferring in table. And in second mapping also using the same source and expression, then getting the rank, right? So based on, because both transformation are using different activity but using the same source, right? So you can combine those things and process. It will be easy and you reduce your time. Correct. Next is optimizing pass through mapping. Like pass through mapping, like you can optimize the performance for pass through mapping to pass directly from source to target without any transformation. We are not using any transformation. I hope understand, right? There is a optimizing method, right? Pass through. Pass through means directly we can perform, right? Push that info in a SQL form, right? So connect to the source qualifier transform directly to the target. If you use getting started wizard, create a pass through mapping. The wizard create an expression transformation between the source qualifier and the transformation and the target. Okay. Yeah, I'm going on next. Optimizing filter. Filter we are using use one of the following transformation to filter data, like source qualifier transformation. Source qualifier actually transformation filter rows from relational source. If you notice there is option in source qualifier, there is filter option, right? Suppose you want to filter any record, you can write your condition there inside the filter condition. When you process, it will be filtered out. Either someone write in where condition in SQL, and instead of write in where condition, you can write out in filter area. So filter transformation and the other transformation also to complete the filter transformation. The filter transformation filter data within a mapping. The filter transformation filter rows from any type of source, right? But your this one is not using only relational source, okay? Relational. That's what here is mentioned. But filter transformation, that's what here is two different activity it will perform. That's what Informatica given and develop a filter transformation so that we can filter out any kind of source, right? If you filter out rows from mapping, you can improve efficiency by filtering early in the data flow. Use a filter in the source qualifier transformation to remove the rows, what rows at the source, right? If you use this one, and the source qualifier transformation limit the row set extracted from relational source. Next point is avoid using complex expression in filter condition to optimize filter transformation. Use simple integer true false. Why is saying? Because if you write complex logic, it can't really just try to understand then process data. That's what your mapping will be go on slow and they start bottleneck. Okay. Note here, if you can use a filter or router transformation to drop rejected row from an updated strategy. If you don't have to, if you do not need, right, to keep rejected row, then you can go filter. Okay. Here is a point for a conversion, right? Conversion means how to data type conversion, like I was explained integer or something, date or right. So you can increase the performance by eliminating unnecessary data type conversion. Right? Someone was use unnecessary convert to decimal or something, but that is not at use. So don't do like this. If you're mapping move data from a integer column to decimal, then back to integer column. Okay, then unnecessary data type conversion slow performance. While where possible, eliminate unnecessary data type conversion from mapping. Okay. So use the following data type conversion, improve the performance. What type of? Use integer value and of other data type when performing comparison. So always use the integer like and the lookup and the filter transformation. For example, many database store US zip code, right? Information as a char or wildcard data type. If you convert to zip code data to an integer data type, the lookup database store the zip code to like this, as this one. Okay. So this help increase the speed of the lookup comparison instead of like on zip code. So same way like convert the source data dates to string through port to port conversion to increase session performance, right? You can either leave the port in the target as a string or change the port to date at time. It will be convert automatically. So yeah, these kind of things you need to take in care, okay, in conversion terms, okay. So next topic is like optimizing expression. So you can also optimize the expression, right? Use to transformation when possible, isolate slow expression and simplify them, right? Complete the following tasks. Which one? Like remove the expression one by one from the mapping. Run the mapping to determine the time to take the to run mapping without transformation. If there is a significant difference, right, in session runtime, look for a way to optimize the slow expression, correct? So this is all about the expression optimization. Now factoring out common logic. What kind of logic? Yeah, the logic like if you the mapping perform the same task in the multiple place, reduce the number of times the mapping perform the task by moving the task earlier in the mapping. For example, if you have mapping with 5 target table, each target requires a social security number or something like right, PAN, Aadhaar or whatever, right? Like unique kind of information. So instead of performing the lookup 5 times, place the lookup transformation in the mapping before the data flow. I splits. Next, pass the lookup result to all 5 targets so that the same lookup can use for all 5. It will be reduce the processing, right? Time by time. Now minimize the aggregate functions call. How to minimizing? If you when you write expression, write factors out as many aggregate function call as possible, right? Each time you use an aggregate functions call, the integration service must search and group the data. For example, in the following expression, the integration service reads column A, find the sum, then reads the column B, find the sum, and finally then the like this. Okay, summation. If you factor out the aggregate function call as below like this, common A, column A and B, then find the sum. Okay, like this. It will be easy, right? So this kind of in minimizing the aggregate functions call. Okay. Now replacing the common expression with local variable. If you use the same expression like multiple time in one transformation, you can make that expression is a local variable, right? A variable, a parameter kind of thing. You can use the same variable and use a local variable only within the transformation. However, by calculating the variable only once, you speed the performance. So basic thing you need to use single if you inside like package kind of, right? Choosing numeric versus string operation, right? When the integration service perform, right, comparison between char and a varchar, it's so each time it's find trailing blank space in the row. You can use the treat char, okay, as a char and read option. When you configure the integration service in the Informatica admin, so that the integration service doesn't trim trailing space from the end of the character. So whatever you're going, it will be processed perfectly. Okay, choosing decode, right, versus lookup. So in this slide, when you use the lookup function, right, in the integration survey, must look up a table in a database. When you use decode function, you incorporate the lookup values into the expression so that integration service doesn't have to look a separate table. Okay. Therefore, when you want to look up a small setup on a changing value, use decode improve the performance. The decode is better for that lookup, right? If you are using like this. But yeah, everything depends on situation. You just cross check that one. But yeah, for optimization perspective, you can use that function as well. Using operator instead of function. Here, just tell us the integration service read expression. Retain with operator like faster than expression with function. What where possible, use operator to write expression. For example, if we have the expression nested concatenate, right? Kind of customer first name, last name, right? So you can rewrite the expression like this with pipe. That way, it will be easy. Okay. So don't write like this in Excel. Okay. Optimizing the IAF function. In IAF function, mostly we are using our inside or Informatica expression, right? So suppose if you write IAF function, can return a value and an action which allow more compact expression. Like for example, if you have a source with three, like y, yes, and y and n flag, like one each flag A and flag B and flag C. Let's suppose if you want to return value based on the value of each flag, you use the following expression like this. Suppose IF flag A is Y and the flag B equal to Y, also Y, and the flag C also Y, right? Then in that case, what will be the value A and the value B and the value C? It will be add. Again, it will go and validate conditions. Suppose if flag A Y and flag B also Y and the flag C is N, right? Here is N. If two is satisfies, third one is not satisfied. In that case, you can add only A and B. Okay. Again, next condition I written flag A is Y, flag B not Y, and but flag C is Y. In that case, we'll add the A and C. So same way, suppose A is Y, rest 2 is N, then one value return value A. So same way by like this value A. So same way you have written complex, right? The expression require 8 IF and 16 and, right? At least 24 comparison. It will compare line by line. If you take the advantage of IF function, you can rewrite the expression, right? You need to rewrite because if unnecessary you are comparing, right? So you need to rewrite. How to rewrite? Yeah, I'm going on next slide. Okay. So evaluating expression. So if you are expression, how to evaluate? If you are not sure, right, which expression slow performance, they evaluate the expression performance to isolate the problem. Problem like complete the following below steps, right? Time the session with original expression, okay, and copy the mapping and replace half of the complex expression with constant, okay. Run and time the edit session, make another copy of mapping and replace the other half of the complex expression with a constant. Run uh, under time the edit session, okay. Why I say just validate everything. Evaluating means you can during the debugging time you can check, right, what your expression returning actual value. That's what. Now next point is optimizing external procedure. In procedure, right, you might want to block input if the external procedure need alternate reading from input groups, right. Without the blocking functionality, you would need to write the procedure code to buffer incoming data. You can input, right, input data instead of buffering it, which usually increase session performance, correct. For example, you need to create an external procedure with two inputs group. Which group? First, like the external procedure reads a row from the source from the first input group, and then reads a row from a second input group. If you use blocking, right, if you use blocking, you can write the external procedure code to block the flow of data from one input group while it procedure the data from other input group, correct. When you write the external procedure code to block data, you increase performance because the procedure doesn't need to copy the source data to a buffer, okay. However, you could write the external procedure to allocate buffer and copy the data from one input group to the buffer, right, until it is ready to process the data. So this is all about like copying the source data to buffer, decrease the performance. Why? Because when you copy the source, right, data, source data, it will be decrease your performance. That's what here is saying example. You need to create an external procedure, right, with two input group. The external procedure read a row from the first input group, then read a data from the second input group. It will be divided, right. If you use blocking, you can write the external procedure code to block the flow, right. So this way you can optimize your external procedure. So this is all about in today's session, uh, mapping transformations, mapping optimization, how to optimize the mapping. So there is a multiple way I was explains. So you can go through entire thing and just understand what is the mapping, how to optimize. Yeah, that is mostly theoretical. I was explained. Yeah, technical part also I will try to explain. I will create one mapping in detail, but yeah, you can go through because mostly in performance terms we need to understand the terms, right, what terms we are going to apply. Because once you develop everything, right, there is some optimizing thing. When your data industry data is going huge and millions record, right, then in performance comes in picture, right. That time if you not read everything like points, right, then don't you understand what method you are going to unnecessary you change something and you don't apply, and it will be failed, right. The region should be failed. So just go through entire thing, and if any question comment, you can just write a comment. I will try to reply there. And okay, if anything you can come with me. If you want to like dedicated session, you can also comment. I will enroll in my upcoming batch, okay. So yeah, thank you, thanks for watching. Yeah.